We're counting down the 10 most toxic toilet paper brands found in Australian homes, ranging from big-name rolls hiding harsh chemicals and sneaky fragrance additives, to budget options that cut corners with recycled contamination or heavy bleaching. Each entry is ranked on skin safety, chemical exposure, and what really sits between comfort and unseen risk. Which brands are Australia's quietest hazards, and which surprising names actually protect your health? Let's begin the countdown with number 10. Quilton holds a reputation as Australia's go-to for softness and comfort, but that familiar, fluffy texture comes at a chemical cost. Standard and ultra-soft Quilton rolls are produced using elemental chlorine-based bleaching, an industry norm that leaves behind trace dioxins, a class of compounds flagged for their persistence in the environment. While labels rarely mention it, the process is confirmed in Australian pulp and paper reports. Softness is further boosted by fragrance additives like linalool and geraniol, measured at 0.9 parts per million in some batches. For many, these scents are invisible, but dermatologists warn that even low levels of such allergens can irritate sensitive skin, especially in children and people prone to eczema. Quilton's price sits around 47 cents per 100 sheets, making it a staple in homes, but also a baseline example of how softness and scent often outrank transparency and skin safety in the supermarket aisle. Sorbent's luxury soft range sits on supermarket shelves with a price tag to match its premium image, but the real cost is measured in chemistry, not dollars. Achieving that extra plush feel involves a bleaching load of up to 12 milligrams of chlorine dioxide per gram of pulp, about 3 times the industry average. That's not just a technical detail. It means more chlorinated byproducts in the finished sheet, even if the process skips the old-school elemental chlorine. Then there's the lotion. Softening agents like dimethicone and parfum are worked into the paper, leaving behind silicone residues measured at 2.3 micrograms per square centimetre. Dermatologists flag these as potential triggers for sensitive skin, especially when combined with fragrance. Despite the AU$ 1.10 per roll price, you're not paying for cleaner paper, just more additives and a thicker perfume. For anyone chasing true skin comfort, Sorbent's luxury label is more chemical cocktail than a safe upgrade. Kleenex is a household name in Australia, often chosen for its signature softness and clean white appearance. Behind that familiar comfort lies a chemical process few shoppers ever consider. The tissue's bright uniform colour is achieved not just with elemental chlorine-free bleaching, but also with optical brighteners, specifically benzoxazine compounds added at 0.15% by weight. These brighteners are designed to reflect blue light and make the paper look whiter, but studies show they can act as skin sensitizers, triggering allergic reactions in some users. The experience doesn't stop there. A generic perfume blend is added to mask the scent of pulp and processing chemicals, introducing another potential irritant for those with sensitive skin. Kleenex tissue is also known for fiber shedding, leaving behind tiny particles that can increase exposure to both additives and fragrance. At 55 cents per 100 sheets, it sits mid-range in price, but the hidden cost is ongoing exposure to a cocktail of chemicals that aren't listed on the pack. Coles Ultra Soft sits on the shelf with a price that tempts any budget-conscious shopper, just 38 cents per 100 sheets. But that bargain comes with a catch. To make lower-grade pulp feel smooth, Coles relies on a chemical softener called polyethylene glycol, or PEG 400, added at around 0.6%. This isn't the kind of ingredient you'll spot on the packaging. PEGs are polymers used in everything from cosmetics to industrial cleaners, and while they're considered safe for most uses, research links PEG residues to skin irritation in people with sensitive skin or eczema. In Coles Ultra Soft, lab analysis has measured PEG residue at 0.12 micrograms per square centimetre. The result is a roll that feels soft to the touch, but may leave behind a film that doesn't agree with everyone. Texture also varies from batch to batch, a sign of the cost-saving shortcuts behind the scenes. For shoppers hoping to save money, it's a reminder that the cheapest option can sometimes come with hidden trade-offs for skin comfort. Woolworths Essentials toilet paper is one of the cheapest options on the shelf, but the low price comes with a hidden chemical catch. Unlike premium brands that rely on virgin pulp, this roll often contains a significant portion of recycled paper, sometimes up to 30%. That might sound like an eco-friendly choice, but recycled doesn't always mean safer for your skin or your hormones. Scientific studies on recycled tissue have found measurable levels of bisphenol A, or BPA, with concentrations around 12 micrograms per gram in some samples. The culprit? Thermal receipts and shipping labels, which are loaded with BPA and end up mixed into the recycled pulp. BPA is a well-known endocrine disruptor, linked in global research to reproductive and developmental effects, even at low doses. For anyone concerned about chemical exposure, especially families with young children or people with hormone-sensitive conditions, this is a risk that isn't listed anywhere on the pack. At just 42 cents per 100 sheets, Woolworths Essentials looks like a bargain, but the trade-off is real. Environmental wins can come at the cost of chemical purity. The presence of BPA in recycled toilet paper is a reminder that the greenest option isn't always the cleanest when it comes to what you put against your skin every day. Aldi's Confidence toilet tissue is a familiar sight in Australian bathrooms, especially for shoppers chasing value. At 45 cents per 100 sheets, it seems like a safe bet. But a closer look at its chemistry tells a different story. The softness in these rolls is achieved with alkaline peroxide bleaching, a method that leaves behind measurable peroxide residue, clocked at 0.04% by weight in some batches. While that number sounds tiny, peroxide is an oxidizer, and even low levels can bother sensitive skin, especially with repeated use. What's more, Aldi keeps quiet about exactly how much bleaching is used or how consistent their process is from batch to batch. The fragrance situation is just as unpredictable. Some packs are completely unscented, while others hit you with a strong floral note, all under the same product name. This shifting formula means you never really know what's coming home in your trolley. For anyone with allergies or skin conditions, that lack of transparency is a gamble. Aldi. Confidence lands at number 5 for its chemical wildcards and the uneasy feeling that you're rolling the dice with every pack. Eye care toilet paper is often chosen for its simple, fragrance-free image, but the chemistry behind each roll tells a different story. To keep the paper strong when wet, manufacturers use a urea formaldehhyde resin, a compound well known among dermatologists as a classic allergen. Testing of some supermarket batches in Australia has found formaldehyde releases averaging 1.2 milligrams per kilogram of tissue. That's not a huge number by industrial standards, but for anyone with sensitive skin, it can be enough to trigger contact dermatitis, especially with daily use. The whitening process relies on elemental chlorine-based bleaching, measured at about 0.8 kilograms of chlorine per tonne of pulp, which adds another layer of chemical exposure. While eye care skips the perfumes found in other brands, the trade-off is a hidden allergen risk that isn't mentioned on the pack. Priced at 46 cents per 100 sheets, it sits in the middle of the market, but the cost to skin comfort may be higher than most shoppers realise. For those seeking a safe, gentle option, fragrance-free alone doesn't guarantee protection from chemical irritants. Who gives a crap's recycled toilet paper is a fixture in eco-minded Australian households, wrapped in bold colours and feel-good promises. Behind the recycled label, though, sits a chemical reality that doesn't make it onto the pack. Independent testing has found bisphenol A, or BPA, in recycled tissue at levels as high as 22 micrograms per gram, one of the highest among brands tested. BPA gets into the mix when thermal receipts and shipping labels, loaded with this endocrine disruptor, are pulped with the rest of the post-consumer waste. That's not just a technicality. BPA is linked in scientific studies to hormone disruption and reproductive issues, even at low doses. The story doesn't end there. Recycled paper often carries leftover ink particles and dyes, which can add to irritation, especially for people with sensitive skin or allergies. The price, about 58 cents per 100 sheets, might seem reasonable, but the trade-off is exposure to chemicals that eco-branding doesn't mention. For all the sustainability messaging, The recycled range lands in the toxic trio for its high BPA content and the uncomfortable truth that greener isn't always gentler when it comes to your skin. Costco's Kirkland Signature toilet paper has become the default choice for bulk buyers, promising plush softness and a price that undercuts most supermarket shelves, just 30 cents per 100 sheets. But that bargain comes with a chemical payload few shoppers notice until it is already in their homes. Achieving that ultra-smooth finish at industrial scale means ramping up the bleaching. Kirkland's tissue is processed with elemental chlorine-free ECF bleaching, using up to 15 milligrams of chlorine dioxide per gram of pulp. That is a heavy dose, and while ECF is cleaner than the old elemental chlorine, it still leaves behind organochlorine residues in every roll. Softness gets another boost from a silicone-based lotion, measured at 3.1 micrograms per square centimetre. The problem? Silicone is not just a marketing buzzword, it is a residue that lingers on skin, especially for anyone with eczema or allergies. Independent microscopy of Kirkland sheets reveals a lint load of around 5%, meaning every wipe leaves behind a fine dusting of fibres and chemical softener. For sensitive users, that is a recipe for irritation, not comfort. The economics of buying in bulk are clear, but the hidden cost is a steady exposure to high-dose bleach, silicone, and lint, none of which make it onto the packaging. That is why Kirkland lands at number 2, a roll that is soft on the wallet, but not always on your skin. Generic ultra-soft toilet paper dominates supermarket shelves, offering the lowest price per 100 sheets, sometimes just 25 cents. But the savings come with a chemical trade-off that most shoppers never see. These rolls are engineered for maximum whiteness and softness, and that means full-force bleaching. Industry reports confirm that elemental chlorine is still used in some mills, supplying Australian home brand lines, with up to 1.2 kilograms of chlorine per tonne of pulp. That process doesn't just strip colour, it creates a residue of chlorinated organic compounds known as AOX, which are flagged by environmental scientists for their persistence and potential to form dioxins. No label mentions AOX, and there is no requirement to disclose the presence of optical brighteners, synthetic chemicals added to boost the paper's glow under bathroom lighting. These brighteners, often present at about 0.25% by weight, can migrate to skin and have been linked in dermatology literature to allergic reactions, especially in people with eczema or sensitive skin. The supply chain is largely opaque. There is no clear information on where the pulp comes from, what forests are being logged, or which chemicals are used in each batch. What is certain is that the drive for softness and a bright, uniform look leads to heavier processing and a higher risk of chemical residue. For families, the true cost of these budget rolls is not found at the checkout, but in the daily exposure to a mix of bleach byproducts and undisclosed additives delivered straight to the most sensitive skin in the house. Who Gives a Crap's bamboo toilet paper stands apart from its recycled cousin for one simple reason. Independent lab testing found no detectable PFAS, with results coming in at less than 0.1 parts per million. That's a rare level of transparency in an industry where most brands don't publish any chemical results at all. The paper itself is made from FSC certified bamboo and uses a totally chlorine-free bleaching process, relying on peroxide instead of harsher chemicals to achieve its natural pale colour. This means there's no need for optical brighteners or heavy fragrances, and the texture feels smoother without extra additives. At around 70 cents per 100 sheets, it's not the cheapest on the shelf, but the price reflects cleaner processing and a lower risk of hidden chemical residues. For anyone looking to switch away from recycled or heavily processed wood pulp, this bamboo option offers a safer, eco-friendly alternative backed by published lab data. Thank You toilet paper stands out for one reason: transparency. Every pack is made from virgin pulp, but the company discloses its entire supply chain, from forest to finished roll. Unlike most brands, Thank You publishes audits of its sourcing and processing, so you know exactly where the fibres come from and how they're treated. The bleaching process uses a low dose of chlorine dioxide, just 68 milligrams per gram of pulp, which is well below the industry's heavier-handed standards. There's zero added fragrance, so the paper is free from the common allergens that can trigger irritation for sensitive users. At 68 cents per 100 sheets, it's not the cheapest option, but you're paying for open information and a consistent, gentle product. For families who want a mainstream supermarket roll without the mystery ingredients or hidden chemicals, Thank You offers a rare level of clarity. It's a solid bridge between conventional and eco-focused choices, making it a smart pick for anyone who values both safety and honesty. Pure Planet Bamboo lands at number 3 for Australians looking for a solid everyday eco option without the usual chemical baggage. The sheets are made from bamboo pulp processed with elemental chlorine-free bleaching, but at a lower intensity than most mainstream brands. Lab data puts the chlorine dioxide load at about 6 milligrams per gram of pulp. That means less chance of lingering chlorinated byproducts, a key point for anyone with sensitive skin. Lint testing shows Pure Planet's bamboo tissue leaves behind just 1.8% lint, well below the average for both wood pulp and recycled papers. That translates to a cleaner wipe and less fibre dust, especially important for those prone to irritation. At 73 cents per 100 sheets, Pure Planet Bamboo isn't the cheapest, but the value comes from a balance of lower chemical exposure and practical performance. For shoppers who want a strong, low-lint, eco-friendly roll without paying a premium, this one stands out. Eco-Originals Bamboo sits near the top of the list for one reason: chemical purity that's actually been checked. Instead of relying on chlorine, the pulp is bleached with hydrogen peroxide, a process that skips the harsh byproducts found in most supermarket rolls. Independent certification backs up the claim. Eco-Originals holds a green tag rating for its bamboo tissue, verifying both the absence of elemental chlorine and a manufacturing process designed for low residue. Testing for PFAS, the so-called forever chemicals, found levels below 0.05 parts per million, effectively not detected for the main compounds of concern. That's a rare outcome in a market where even some bamboo brands have tested positive for trace PFAS. The price comes in at 75 cents per 100 sheets, a modest premium for a roll that's both gentle on skin and transparent about what's left out. For anyone chasing a truly chlorine-free, low-toxin option, Eco-Originals Bamboo delivers verified safety without the greenwashing. Tuffy Eco Bamboo lands at number 1 for Australians who want safety, strength, and value in a single roll. This bamboo paper is marketed as fragrance-free and made without the harsh chemical treatments that dominate most supermarket shelves. The company claims an oxygen plasma, totally chlorine-free process, meaning no chlorine-based bleaching agents are used at any stage. That's a big deal for anyone looking to avoid dioxins and other persistent byproducts. Unlike many competitors, Tuffy Eco Bamboo is also advertised as free from added fragrances and lotions, which makes it especially appealing for people with sensitive skin or allergies. The roll itself feels sturdy, with a tensile strength that rivals much pricier brands, and the company promotes a lint content below 1%, reducing the risk of fibre dust left behind after use. At 78 cents per 100 sheets, it's not just about purity, it's a strong value for families who want clean, dependable toilet paper without the chemical baggage. Across all 15 brands, one truth stands out. In Australia, toilet paper is still engineered for softness and price, not for safety or transparency. Chemical shortcuts and vague sourcing remain the norm, while only a few brands break the pattern. That means every roll is a choice that impacts your skin, your health, and the environment. In the end, what we flush matters more than we think. Let me know your thoughts below.